It's your boy Abstract, your favorite crypto educator, the crypto cowboy. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you guys in a long time, man. Just want to appreciate everyone that's always continue to support the page, always continue to be, in crypto, buying crypto, trying to be involved in crypto. And me, I'm somebody that has always been in crypto for a long time, since 2019. For people that don't know my story, I was a truck driver, got into crypto, found out about Ethereum at $115 and rode the wave. And, I have stories for days and, took a lot of losses and made a lot of gains. And at the end of the day, I'm just happy to be here. And, I went through a lot of stuff the past year, a lot of personal stuff, and I took some time away from crypto. And recently, I got my stuff in order, my personal life, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I think it's time to start diving into crypto again and start getting, start getting things interesting again, and, so, first things first, when I first, this past 2 weeks, when I started, taking a look at crypto again, I started taking a look at what's really going on in the market. I started to realize that the market is shifting. The market is completely shifting from the crypto that we knew, 5 years ago from the crypto today. And it's been shifting year by year, but now it's been getting to the point now where we have to start to change our strategy going forward into newer bull runs. We can't use the same strategies that we were using in past bull runs, because it's showing the patterns now in especially with this past bull run has showed that it's not the same. We aren't getting those altcoin seasons where, the chain links of the world and, these coins I used to love back in the, the GRT, the chain link, there's so many other coins, and in this past bull run, it didn't do anything that people thought it was going to do, and that's just a reality. And that's why I say now that we need to change our strategy and we need to think more about long term. We need to think about de-risking. We need to think about how can we build a portfolio that's going to stand the test of time. Because for all the years that I've been in crypto, one of the main things that I would do was I would buy a lot of altcoins that I felt like were extremely undervalued. An example is in the past bull run, I did, a lot of Dogecoin. I did a lot of Chainlink. I did a lot of the Graph token. I thought, oh, these are coins that are involved in an ecosystem and play part in that ecosystem and are important. And basically what I found is that in the past bull runs where we thought, you buy the Graph token and you're going to make a 15-20x, that is not the same case anymore, because in the past bull run, it only did, if I'm not mistaken, I think from its bottom, it still did, I think like a 10x, I believe, because I believe that at the bottom for GRT, I think it was around, 5 cents. And I think it went to something like 38, 39 cents, 40 cents around there, something like that. We were projecting at the time, pre-bull market 2023, we were projecting something like maybe a $2.50 GRT, only because that was what the market at the time, according to Fibonacci retracement levels, was showing us. So let's dive into the charts right quick, guys. Let's get to BTC. I just want to kind of show you guys, kind of like the state of the market and what's been going on with just regular altcoins, because this is a chart that pertains to the rest of the market. It is not just a coin that basically a lot of coins look similar to this, and it's showing a narrative. And if you look at GRT, right, you see that in 2023, so 2022 to 2023, in this time period, so 2024 correctly right here, right, so let's delete this, but like around here, this was an area that we were buying at. Okay, this is an area that we were buying at because according to Fibs, you see the Fibs. Okay, so if you think about this never happened, right, and we were buying here, like we were in this time period, you can see that according to the fibs, which is the top of the last bull run and the bottom of this bear market, you can see where we're projected to go. So at the time, we were thinking, you know, a target of 288 for GRT wouldn't be crazy because of the past patterns and the fibs. Now, what ended up happening was we got a GRT that ended up going to a 48-cent level and ended up declining into now where we are today, which is even sub bottom of the past bear market. And now it begs the question is, are any of these coins even valuable? Do any of these coins even have worth? You know, like, I get it, they do something. This is an indexing protocol. You know, it does a lot of indexing, it works with Chainlink hand in hand, stuff like that. But this is not a chart that somebody would want to buy anymore. And it just begs the question of going forward in crypto. A lot of these projects where we thought that they had value don't actually have value. And I know that's a tough pill to swallow, because I know I was a person that was always saying, you know, we need to buy this, we need to buy this coin, we need to buy that coin, and we need to make this money, and it's going to go up. And it did go up. Yeah, it did went up. It didn't, you know, it didn't not go up, right? It made, you know, if you look at, you know, from the bottom where we were buying it relatively, even if you weren't at the exact bottom, all the way to the top, I mean, that's still a 308%. So relatively, even if you bought at 10 cents, 15 cents, you still made money. But the problem is there's just that now, the way I think now with the crypto market is that coins like this, we should not be buying coins like this thinking that, oh, in the next bull run, this coin is going to do a 15-20x. But instead, we need to think, oh, I need to buy something that I know I'm going to be good in 10-15 years, even if I don't sell this. And the reason why I say that, and it's not to like you got to hold something 10-15 years, it's that you know that you can, okay, it's like the biggest whales in crypto, they all do the same thing. They all do the same thing, the biggest whales in crypto. They all buy a boatload of Bitcoin, boatload, to then borrow against that Bitcoin, because they're not trying to sell that Bitcoin. Because we all know, right? And I've always said this, you know, a long time I've always said this, is that you only buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin you only buy, you never sell Bitcoin. The goal is to keep buying, because the reason why you want to keep buying is when you have a big lump sum of Bitcoin and you haven't sold yet. So that means you haven't paid taxes because you only declare what you sold, correct? You keep buying that Bitcoin. You keep accumulating. When you need money, you can borrow against that Bitcoin at a lower interest rate than the bank. And it is extremely easy, because all you got to do is, especially like an example is like with Bitcoin, you can get a wrapped Bitcoin, deposit that into your MetaMask, go into a protocol like Aave.com, and you can go and you can deposit. Okay, it is very simple. You can just go right here, Aave.com, use Aave, and here you go. You can deposit wrapped Bitcoin, and you can get an APY. I mean, it's very little, so you're not going to generate a lot of money, 0.01%. You're not going to generate a lot of money. But with this, you can then deposit that and borrow USDC. And if you look at the borrowing rate for USDC, it is only 4.04 right now. Okay? USDC is only 4.04. So depending, that might be cheaper for some people to borrow than the bank. And USDC is a stable coin, so that's 1-to-1 to the dollar. So you can take that. If you have 100,000 USDC, that means it's $100,000. Okay. And now the thing is, the interesting thing is that Aave now has Esgo, and they have Go, which is supposed to be like short for Ghost. And it's their stablecoin that's generated from this protocol. Much like, if you guys remember, DAI stablecoin, which was generated from the Maker protocol. which isn't as big as it used to be. I mean, it was a very big coin back in the day. For people that don't know, I mean, in crypto now, people don't care so much about decentralization as much as they used to back in the day. And as we all know what decentralization is basically that the government don't have control over that coin, over those funds. The problem would happen is if somebody had Tether or USDC in a wallet, and the issuer, Tether or USDC, they don't like that, now they can go and freeze those coins, whereas in DAI they couldn't. But the thing is that DAI was algorithmically algorithm. I'm just gonna say algorithm. The algorithm utilizes the decentralized lending platform to then issue their own decentralized stablecoin by using your money as collateral. So if you are putting up $5 million in Bitcoin, when you go borrow from that Bitcoin, the DAI coin, you're borrowing from, but it's being backed by the money that you put in there. So because the money that's in there is being backed, it's secure. So that algorithm works. The problem is that regulators don't like kind of like this decentralized stuff. They want something that can be controlled more, right? So that's why you have something like a USDT. USDC though is the most regulated stablecoin today. And the thing about that and why that's important, and that's going to segue into our next segment, right? And USDC is the most regulated stablecoin today. That means that it is the most prone for banks to use it. It's the most prone to, it has the most chance for the government to use it. And we know we have this talk, right, about, and this is my play going into this next bull run, right, is USDC. Now, what do you mean? Oh, Abstract, what do you mean USDC is your next play going into the next bull run? USDC is $1. So it's not going to go up. So what are you talking about? And what I mean by this is it's USDC is $1, right? But it's the technology behind it that makes USDC so powerful. And USDC is a $73 billion market cap coin. So USDC is worth $73 billion in the crypto market. Okay. And if the government were to use a stable coin, there is a high chance that the government would want to use a stable coin that is already regulated. It is already proven that it works. It's been on the market. It's proven. Because the reality is, guys, is that cash is a thing of the past. Okay. And this is just my opinion, but all things illegal are mainly done with cash. The government will eventually probably implement a digital currency because that gives them more control. That gives them more transparency. They can see what you're doing with this money. They can see where you're sending it, where you're receiving it, where you're spending. Like, they can see all that. And then I just think the future is most likely USDC, because most likely in a future where it's cashless, I can use USDC and go pay for a coffee on USDC on the Solana chain, for example, pay less than a penny in a fee. And that beats Visa, and that beats all the major credit card, debit card, whatever issuers, the fees that they're charging. Because remember, guys, when you go to somewhere where you're going to go pay for something, and they have the payment processor, like it could be Square, Toast, whatever, the little apparatus they have, there's a fee for using that. So when you use Apple Pay, Apple this, debit card, whatever, that issuer, there's a fee to process that. And those restaurants pay those fees. And that's why, paying those fees, you have competitions like something like a crypto where it's going to charge much less than what a legacy or traditional finance bank is going to charge to do those transactions. So that's where something like a USDC is going to win. Now, how am I going to win off of USDC, right? I know that's something that you're probably asking. Oh, but how are you going to win off USDC? It's $1. Now, Let me blow your mind. USDC recently, the company behind USDC is called Circle. Okay, this is a Circle is now on the stock market. It listed Circle listed last year, and Circle has went to the heights of 183, and Circle has been dumping ever since. Okay, Circle has been dumping ever since. Let's pull up a better chart here so you guys can see it. Circle, okay, Circle has been dumping ever since. Okay, I know some exchanges might say differently, whatever, but Circle has been dumping ever since. Now, anyone that's in crypto, okay, and understands charts and looks at charts, you know that this is a chart that you should be buying. Okay, this is a chart that launched last year. Okay, at the top on this, at least it says 298, and it's all the point is it's at $63 right now. Now, if we look at the market cap of Circle is at a $17 billion market cap. Now, why is that important? Because the coin, their product, is worth 73 billion. So you got to think for a second here. How is it that the product is worth more than the actual company that issues it? In my thinking, in my brain, I think this is worth much more than what we think it is. The company Circle, okay? And Circle's worth much more. And the thing is, when you look at the chart, it bottomed out at about $48, $49 around there in February of this year. Right now, it is attempting to retest this support. Okay, so we have a chance that we can retrace here back to the 48 levels before we see a big possible, kind of like a W but a possible rebound. And my thinking is anyone buying here at these levels has the chance to ride all this upswing. And this is a phenomenal level, guys, to be buying. Phenomenal level. When I saw this was like, this reminded me of back in the day of like, buying those dips and, just making money off it, right? And these are obvious dips. These are obvious dips, guys. These are where you can make easy money. And this is where the rich make a lot of money, because if you're putting in a lot of money here, when it goes up here and it's chilling up here, zigzagging, you're already up 3-4x in the profit. You got to think about it. In the course of time, if this just keeps going higher and higher and higher, imagine somebody putting in here, $1 million at $50 market cap. I mean, my fault. At $50, putting in $1 million. If this does a 5x, 6x, you already 5-6 million in the profit, with the potential for this to continue going up in the course of 5 to 10 years. And then you can do that thing I said, borrow against it. You can sell it, whatever you want, pay a long-term tax on it because you held it for so long. But I just think that stuff like this, guys, we can't let opportunities like this pass us, man. These are opportunities that are phenomenal. I mean, it's not every day you get an opportunity like this. And you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Coinbase, guys. When Coinbase launched, look at Coinbase when it launched. Okay. Now look, and then look at this. Okay. So we're gonna go here, and we're gonna go to we had Coinbase and we had Circle. Okay. So we're gonna go to Circle Internet Group. Okay. And we got Coinbase. Okay. So when Coinbase launched, let me delete all this so that we can get a cleaner outlook here. Okay, so when Coinbase launched, okay, Coinbase launched at about 430. That's discretionary because different exchanges, charge, listed at different prices, exactly, whatever. But my point is, if you see from here, which was April 21st, to a year after, okay, This is not even making it up, because look, it launched April 2021. Look at May 2022. This whole thing right here was all phenomenal times for you to be buying in. Generational opportunities to hop into a stock that has potential to keep growing for years and years and years. You can't pass up on moments like this, because when they pass, they pass. They don't come back. And then you got to look for the next one. Okay? But if you look at this, this was an obvious moment to buy a year after. You look at Circle, we are a year after. It came out June 2025, and now we are in July 2026, a year after. Where are we? At the bottom. Where was Coinbase? At the bottom, a year after. Okay? Now, buying here, we can assume, based on Coinbase, if we were using them both as an example, because they are, I'm comparing them both because they are crypto fintech stocks. They have to do with crypto, so we can use them to compare, because they're very similar charts. Okay, so 1 year after we had this time period with Circle, 1 year after we're now having the bottom, kind of similar to Coinbase here, where it dumped here. Okay, now we're seeing it here. So what I think is that we see at least guys, a year of zigzagging. Okay, zigzagging here. Okay, and the reason why I say that, and not exactly like that, I'm just drawing it for argument's sake, but anything could happen where it can zigzag for a year. Okay, because that's what happened with Coinbase. Coinbase zigzagged for an entire year in a accumulation phase, where for a year people were buying Coinbase at extremely low levels. We're talking about $35, guys, for a Coinbase stock. We're talking about $55 for a Coinbase stock. At the top for Coinbase, it was at 445, guys. 445 from $335. I mean, from $35. My point is that there's opportunities here for all of us. It's just that it's about taking the step and taking advantage of what's in front of us, right? Because a door can open, but it's up to you to go in. I can bring you to drink water, but that doesn't mean you're gonna drink water. You know, it's like that. You know, it's like if, you know, Circle is at a time now where if you look at this, yeah, to the regular eye, it doesn't look very exciting. You know, you look at it and you're just like, why does Abstract see this? You know, but these are the kind of charts that successful crypto traders buy. Not just crypto, but just because this is a stock at the end of the day, but stock investors, everyone, these are those type of trades that you want to get into for the long term. Because guys, this is not a meme coin. This is not something that's worth $100,000 market cap. This is not something that's worth $2 million market cap. This is worth $17 billion, guys. $17 billion Circle is worth. And its coin is worth 73 billion dollars. And this is why I say these are the type of projects that we need to be getting into. A company that's issuing a stable coin that's generating yield on a digital economy, a new kind of economy that the world has never seen before, that has expanded so much in the past 10 years. I mean, we've seen from the past 10 years, we've seen the emergence of Bitcoin. We've seen the emergence of Ethereum ecosystem, where Ethereum, you can have NFTs, you can leverage all this kind of stuff. And then we had Solana, Pump Fund, like the list goes on of how much this market has really evolved. And now we've gotten to the point where we have a stable coin on the market that's generating yield on a digital economy, and you have the company that's issuing it, the most regulated stable coin, at $17 billion right now, at a bottom after a year it dropped. Like, guys, like this is to me, this is easy money. I will be accumulating here Circle. This is Circle Internet Group. The ticker is CRCL. You can buy this on something like Robinhood. You can buy this on like Fidelity. Anything regular stockbroker that sells this, you can buy this at. And like I said, guys, $63 right now. This is something that could grow. Has to do with stable coins and regulation with that kind of stuff. Okay. Now, let's move on from Circle, guys, and let's go to the topic, always Bitcoin. Okay. Now, I know this chart's looking a little funky. Let's give you guys a little history. So, what are these? These are the Fibonacci retracements. You take the top of the bull market and the bottom of the bear market, and it will give you a estimated on what can happen in the next bull run. Correct. So the next bull run showed us that we can reach these levels, 74,000. That's what almost kind of what happened. It reached 69,000, and then the bottom of that bear market. So the top of that bull market 69,000. Bottom of the bear market 15,000. It gave us a kind of an estimate of, according to Fibs, where the next bear market could go. This right here is the bear market that we just went through, guys. This was in 2024 and 2025. This bear market, this bull market was crazy good for Bitcoin. This was a bull market that was happening since January 2024. If you guys look at this channel, this was the channel for a long time, and when we broke this channel in November of 2025, this is when we started our first downward trajectory into full bear market territory. And this was an easy time to sell because it had broke a long-term trend that's been going on all the way since easily 2024, guys. Okay. And the reality is, why is this important? Because we have now left the bull market and we are now back into bear market, and we need to adjust because things are different. When things change, you need to change. You can't stay the same when things change. Now, if you are somebody who buys Bitcoin for the long term and you're buying Bitcoin for years to come, it doesn't really matter what price it is at today. It doesn't even matter if it broke its bull run trend, because you're holding for the long term. But for a lot of people who are thinking about the short term, thinking about the medium term, you have to think about what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year. How are you going to be able to accumulate? How are you going to be able to accumulate the best prices? How are you going to be able to protect your capital? Because that is one thing that I've realized in crypto, is that protecting your capital is maybe one of the most important things there is. Because what is the point if you can make $100,000, but if you can't protect the $100,000? And that's one of the biggest things now that I'm taking going into this next bull run, is we need to learn how to protect our capital, and investing it and protect, and just main thing is protecting it, guys. Okay. And with Bitcoin, when it broke this trend, we now have started a downward trajectory, correct? Now, the thing is that a lot of people can ask, oh, but where are we going now? Where should we be buying? I believe that at any point below this breakdown was already a start of accumulation. Now, one could argue this was early. I get that. But regardless, right now is an easy time to be accumulating. And if you take a look right here at these right here, at this spot right here, right? Now, why did I put this spot right here? Okay. Now, if you look at the Fibonacci's, right, from the last bull run, correct? Now, let's stretch this out right here so we can take a look at it from a bigger perspective. Okay, let me move this. Now, I drew that here, and the reason why I did that was because if you look at, okay, and this is the interesting thing about crypto, is that nothing is surprising when you take a look at the history and you take a look at data. Now, with Fibonacci's, this is a very useful tool that many traders use. And when you have a tool that many traders use all together, you start to get the same result. Now, it isn't it isn't surprising, guys, that we see a Bitcoin over here in June hitting a Fibonacci retracement that was drawn up. This fib, this right here, this pattern you see here, this was drawn all the way in November of 2022. That's how old this Fibonacci is, but it's still testing the time even till today. Isn't that crazy that it's still standing the test of time? Like, why is it that this chart stops exactly at the fib of 57,000? It's because that is a fib, a support that is held for so long. And that's why it's still holding till today. Now, the thing is that I'm going to go on a limb here and say that I believe ultimately that Bitcoin will drop and that Bitcoin will be a lower price than today. And the reason why I say that is because we've entered a bear market. It's evident. Everyone sees that we've entered a bear market. And with bear markets, you know, the top of the bull market was October of 2025. We haven't even reached a year after the top of the bull run. You know, bear markets, the bottom of the bear market usually is a year to a year and a half after the top of the bull market. So we haven't even reached the bottom of the bear market yet. And this is why I'm so interested now in buying and accumulating crypto, because these were the kind of prices that I won and I made insane money back in the day with these kind of charts dipping. For people who are generating money, generating cash, these are the kind of prices that you need to be buying at. That is a fact. That is a fact. So the thing is, and this is what, and this is the way I think. Okay. The way I think is, what if we buy now, right? Start dollar cost averaging now. This is the way I'm thinking, and buying on the way down, because there is a good chance that I believe Bitcoin's bottom will be somewhere around here. Okay. And the reason why I say that Bitcoin's bottom will be somewhere around here, which is 50,000, 48,000, is because according to the fib, when Bitcoin bottomed out in October of 2024, it hit this fib. This is a fib with so much demand that it is undervalued, that people will be buying here. Big whales are hoping to buy here. And if you notice with this chart, it looks like a staircase going downwards. You have a staircase going downwards. It does little fake ups, but it goes downwards. And at some point, all these people who are selling will get squeezed. And when they get squeezed, guys, we know what happens in crypto when people get squeezed. Liquidations, rising, everything. So my thing is that I believe that right now, I think that it is very important that we be buying really cheap prices right now and accumulating, because but the thing is, I'm not here sitting here telling you to be buying all these altcoins. I'm telling you that I think that the best time right now is to be buying Bitcoin. Circle is another good one, stock good, but I'm talking about in crypto. I'm just going to go here and say Bitcoin. And I think because the prices that it's at, it now gives an entry for everyday people to start accumulating, to build a position, because it is much harder, guys, to build a position in Bitcoin when you are at $120,000. It is not every day that somebody has $120,000, $130,000. So when you have a Bitcoin at 50, 48, 45,000, that gives you a position where you can now put 4,000, 5,000 and build a position in Bitcoin. This is the best time. So now that Bitcoin is dipping, I'm looking right now at buying Bitcoin, because one thing too, if we look at all the past bull runs, all the past bear markets, you were always pretty much, for the most part, better off buying Bitcoin. People can argue with me differently, but for the most part, you were always better off buying Bitcoin. And that's just the reality. You would have made more money. You would have had a bigger wealth. You would have protected your capital. You wouldn't be hit over the head. Bitcoin is the way going forward, guys. And the thing is too, trading Bitcoin dominance chart, which is the chart of how much Bitcoin's dominating the entire market. And secondly, is trading Bitcoin pairs. Now, what do I mean by Bitcoin pairs? Let's say you want to trade Cardano. because you have Bitcoin, right? We've been accumulating Bitcoin. You want to trade Cardano. You're going to go to BTC ADA. That's Cardano BTC, right? That means for every Bitcoin, for every 0.000253 Bitcoin, I'm getting one Cardano. If this chart goes up, that means that Cardano has appreciated against Bitcoin. That means that if you hold Cardano, you are going to get more Bitcoin for your Cardano. So a lot of big traders, what they'll do is, let's say, and this is not the best looking chart. This is just for argument's sake. Okay. Look at over here. When we look at October of 2024, November 2024, anyone who bought in with their Bitcoin into Cardano, right? Because I'm saying the way going forward now is everything going forward is I am trading BTC pairs with that crypto. I am no longer, I am trading to gather more Bitcoin. That is my strategy going forward. I am not trading for USDC. I am trading for more Bitcoin because I am never going to sell Bitcoin, because the goal is to get more Bitcoin and have as much Bitcoin as you can so that you can leverage it in the future. And that's how you have wealth forever. So we have to change our mindset if we want to make money in crypto and protect it, because we can't go bear market and bull market, keep doing that loop over and over and not protecting our capital. So we have to change our strategy and our perspective on how we go about this. So I'm trading a BTC pairs. I'm looking at how I can make more Bitcoin from my Bitcoin. So using my same Bitcoin, I use 1 Bitcoin to make 1.5 Bitcoin. Now I have 1.5 Bitcoin, right? So the thing is that this is an example, right? In October, November of 2024, we seen a increase of 193% on the BTC ADA chart. And what this means is that ADA did it 3 times against the price of Bitcoin. That means that if you put in 1 Bitcoin at the bottom here, you would have 3 Bitcoin. If you sold your ADA and sold it back into Bitcoin, you would have had 3 Bitcoin. Okay. And that's the type of shit that I'm trying to be doing, because if I can go here, take a quarter of a Bitcoin here, and I can buy in and I can sell it at a double up. Okay, whatever. This is at 2.53. So yeah, so a double up would be basically at 5. Okay, at 5. So right here would be the double up. If I can buy this chart and it do a double up, that means that now I have double the Bitcoin. So that's my strategy going forward. I'm looking to how to multiply my Bitcoin, not dollars. I'm not worried about cash. I'm worried about how to multiply my Bitcoin, guys. And like I said, guys, going forward for at least this foreseeable future, let's focus on Bitcoin and make solid portfolio so that later along down the line, we can make strategic moves to increase our portfolio and make our portfolio bigger. I just want to thank everyone today for showing up. For real, I really want to appreciate it, man. After all these years of streaming, it's crazy to see how far we made it here, and how much people have been helped with this crypto stuff, and how I really appreciate everyone that's stuck around, and even through the dark times, through the happy times, through all the money, through the bad time, whatever, all the times. Like, I just want to appreciate everyone for always showing up day in and day out. And we're gonna do this stream every week, guys. Every week we're gonna do this stream. My time is limited, but I'm gonna make it a thing where I do the stream every single week. I want to teach people crypto. I really enjoy this. I always have enjoyed this, and showing people different coins and how to make money and how to kind of, like, in a way, achieve financial freedom, have the opportunity to do that, and use your brain. And I just want to help people to be able to use their brain to take them to the next level with stuff like crypto, because this is not rocket science, guys. It can feel like rocket science sometimes. You're looking at charts, you're looking at prices going up and down, you have a million different options, but I think it's all about just locking in and knowing what you want, creating goals for yourself, and being smart with your money and not making dumb decisions, not catching FOMO, and sticking to your guns. All right. And I just want to thank everyone for showing up. It's been a pleasure. It's the Crypto Abstract. God bless you all. I love you.